Good morning, my name is Nancy Murdoch and I work with the Somerset Activity and Sport Partnership. Today I'm going to use this opportunity to hopefully provide you with some ideas, tips and tricks about how, even in this time where we're using the virtual classroom and the classroom doesn't look like what we're used to using, we can still find ways to keep children moving and keep them active. I'm going to share with you in a moment my screen, and on that is a series of questions. So you're going to need a piece of paper and a pen. Just bear with me whilst I load up my screen. Okay, hopefully you've all got a piece of paper and a pen. So I was just going to start with a really quick task, and you may well find that you use this already, but this was just an idea that I thought we could literally just start with as a way of jumping straight into how we can make things a little bit more interactive, but also serve as a way where you can think about what you already do around movement and physical activity in your classroom. My suggestion is, for a virtual classroom, I have put next to each answer a symbol of a shape, and you could ask the children to answer using that shape, or you could have a movement or the other things. You'll be able to be really creative with that. And in an actual classroom, you might lay out a poster or maybe some coloured equipment in each of the corner to represent the answers as we go through. Okay, so if you're ready for the first question, this will just help you to think about where you are already with active classrooms. So to what extent is physical activity or movement currently being included in my planning of lesson content? Next question. To what extent is my classroom physical activity used to re-energise a class that appears sleepy or disengaged? Next question. To what extent is my classroom physical activity used to improve student behaviour and classroom management? Next question. To what extent is classroom physical activity used after returning from school breaks to re-engage a class? Okay, really short way of just thinking about how you engage your students with some movement and physical activity. So if you have a look at your answers, and then if you correspond those to this sheet, it will give you a couple of pointers about ways you may be able to think about moving forward and incorporating further practice. I'm just going to move on to a really short video now, which talks about why physical activity is really important in the classroom.
Our children's lives often involve a lot of sitting, driving to and from school, in the classroom, playing games on mobile devices, or watching TV. As an adult, sitting is linked to heart disease, diabetes, and even a shorter lifespan. However, schools have a great opportunity to change this culture of sitting. But how? Well, by integrating movement breaks into the classroom and teaching curriculum topics through movement. Research shows this may increase engagement, enjoyment, and even academic achievement. So join the movement to promote a physically active and engaging classroom.
Okay, so I want to share with you some information that we have related to activity levels in our young children. This one is Active Lives survey taken from 2018-2019. It shows that around 50% of our children are being active enough, which is an hour a day or 7 hours a week, with roughly 50% of children who we were trying to increase their activity levels, even just a little bit. A survey that was taken in August of 2020 shows that that number of those children being active enough of an hour a day has dropped to 20%, which is a drastic drop in terms of the number of children we're working with who are not being active enough, around 79% now. So when we move forward and we're thinking about active learning strategies, we need to think about what ones would be the right ones to bring in at the right time. So we need to think about, what do I want my students to be able to perform at the end of our online session, or maybe what skill or what they're going to remember. Just think about maybe what the task is that's in hand, and is there a way that we can include activity in that to help students be engaged with the subject. Which active learning strategy will allow my students to practice this skill I'm going to go through a couple of those in a minute. So is there a good time of day, maybe with my students, that I'm going to use some of these active learning techniques? And when in the day are they going to reflect on what they've learned? Okay, so to think about welcoming or brain break activities for online learning. Here's one really easy one. It's I Spy. And I want you to maybe put an item in the background, or I've got a plain background, but I can introduce something to the screen. And then as the children start to recognize that something new is added into the screen, they are going to give you lots of waves and lots of smiles. And when you see that all across your screen, then you are free to ask a student if they've recognized what it is that they've been able to bring into the room. I've seen as well where people have used different backgrounds that is not their home, and then they maybe be able to put even like a Where's Wally picture or a topic based picture that you'll be able to ask the children, maybe I spy something beginning with, and you can choose a letter and see if they can find it from your background. And this would be ideal during a registration type task, but also it could be good if you're just noticing that they need just to re-engage and listen to. So I thought I'd add up a I Spy background so that you can see how we could use that for a registration. So I can say, I spy with my little eye something beginning with O. And now you're going to have to try and find something that begins with O. And when you think you know what it is, you can wave at the screen and we can see if you're right. Go Fetch, that's a brilliant way to go and get people moving. Some ideas that you've got. Go fetch a hat, come back, put it on, all look a little bit silly in the screen. Maybe go fetch a shoe, choose something green or something that starts with the letter B. Lots and lots of ideas around Go Fetch, but it's a brilliant way to get them to get up and move around their house, even just for a few moments, and it adds lots of excitement to your session. Be the word. This is a bit like charade. You're going to hold up a verb. It can be related to your topic or it could be random. And the whole class must act out their verb charades all together at the same time. And you can always spotlight somebody if you particularly like the way that they're acting out the verb. And then the word of the day. Every time that you say a very common word, the children are going to stand up and sit down, or maybe they're going to wave or something like this. This is a really useful way of, particularly in registration, that you can use just to see if they're paying attention and keeping up with what's being said. Okay, thinking about then review techniques. For blended learning, and maybe think about those people that are trying to manage online right now, have 1 minute for the child to write, and all the children I should say, to write an answer to the question that you pose, but not hit return so it doesn't get entered into the chat box. Now you can play some, and I think it would be even better to play some groovy music whilst everybody enters in their answers. And when that time is up, you command that you enter in their answers and you'll see them all pop up in one go. But they've taken that 1 minute just to have a little bit of a bop and a boogie whilst we're waiting for it to come in, and you can just check whether or not everyone has understood the topic. What would you choose? So ask the class to respond to a question a little bit similar to how we did review earlier, by saying if you think that it's yes, then stand like a star, and if you think that it's no, maybe make a pencil shape. Those sorts of things, just something simple that gets the children to stand up away from their desk just for a minute. Okay, we also have some resources that were put together through the first lockdown that are used for Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 1, and we have some Moving to English resource that you'll find on our website, and you'll also find Moving to Maths. Now, this has been a real challenge for me to try and engage with an audience that I can't see, and I really hope you've been able to take something from today around how you might just be able to include just even a couple of minutes of activity for our young people whilst we're stuck in lockdown. But my plan was always to do a workshop which would look more in depth about how to do active learning, but it just didn't seem appropriate at this time. So I will come back, and we hopefully will do something in person where I'll be able to support you about how to introduce active learning to your classrooms. Thank you.